Hey guys, well, welcome back to this week's episode of the American Landman. What a great day in western Wisconsin. I'm out on a brand new listing. We're on a beautiful 92-acre property in western Wisconsin in St. Croix County. You're going to enjoy this video with me. You're going to experience it alongside of me for the first time as I walk through this property. I assess this property, all the features and benefits, the pros and cons, and at the end, if you stick around, I'm actually going to put a price on this property. We're going to talk about that and how I do it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the American Landman. Well, this here is a great building site, and people especially love this big old growth oak. You don't always see this. These oak species such as this, being red and white mainly in here, are very old growth species that take a long time. And these trees here are probably easily 100 years old. So what a great area right here to build a home. You're off the road. You could come in with a driveway through here and you could build your house overlooking this beautiful wetland. It's just a great location. It's got excellent sun. It's dry, a slight slope, and it might be a good place to build a walkout. And those types of things are very desirable when you're looking at properties. People want to be close to the entrances to the roads, in this case to a county road and a secondary road, but they don't want to be right on it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. And so this would be a great spot to do that. Just an excellent building site. Well, here's another great feature about this property. And these small properties like this can be multi-use properties. This is actually a scrape. So the deer came in here. There's a natural corridor that's traveling around this wetland to my right, and they came in here and marked. And these are licking branches. They'll come up, they'll rub their preorbital gland, their forehead gland. Every deer that comes by here, the bucks will paw, they'll lay down their interdigital gland, all these scent markers. And every deer that comes through here will stop here. It's kind of like the post office for the deer. They'll mark, they'll rub their antlers, lay down their scent, they'll paw here, they'll urinate during the rut, and then they'll move on. And then the does will come in behind them, and they'll do the same thing. They'll rub their forehead, preorbital gland around their eyes. They might urinate in here and leave their stamp in here and walk on. It's just a signpost for every animal that comes through here. And it's good to see because people like to see this hunting opportunities, and this property has it. Well, anytime I see water on a property, it's always a great feature. People like to see water, especially when you're coming into the country and you're kind of rehabbing these old farms. And that's what we have here. This was probably once a cattle farm, a dairy operation. Many of these areas in western Wisconsin were settled around the turn of the century in the 1900s and 1920s. And I'm sure that's what this was at one point. It was probably part of a larger farm, which is over my shoulder here. And now they subdivided these and they stopped running the operation. They're not having cattle and they're making an opportunity for use. So let's talk about the opportunity here and how I see it. So we talked about this before, is the demographic growth corridors and travel corridors, and we have that here. We're about in the first ring, maybe second ring of where people want to commute into Wisconsin and able to get back to the Twin Cities for their for a place to work. We got Highway 63 over my shoulder, and we're about 400 or 500 yards off of that travel corridor, so really easy access, easy off, easy on. We have internet out there, so important. You got to have internet these days. The folks that are moving out of the Twin Cities, out of the more suburban areas, want to work from home. So if you can get internet access, that's always a plus, and you want to look for that. Second thing I see here is there's a lot of opportunity to build. It's got some beautiful old growth timber behind me. There's some open pastures maybe. You could build up front and have your farm behind you. You could have your horses, you got water, maybe some cattle, and you can also hunt. So there's hunting opportunity in this property, so it has recreational opportunities as well. And what a lot of people are doing is they're building these little farms. They're rehabbing and reimagining these little pieces of land, coming out, building a modest home, home and growing specialty products like chickens and eggs and flowers. And I've seen yaks, believe it or not. Dairy cattle, of course, beef cattle. It's all kinds of smaller boutique farms. That's exactly what we have here. It's an opportunity. It's within the perfect range, price range at $276,000 for somebody to do exactly that. By the time you come out here, you purchase this, you build your own home, you're probably into it for about, I'm gonna say $500,000 to $700,000 is where you're gonna end up at. You're gonna have a great place in the woods or in the country. You're gonna have your little hobby farm and the serenity of living in the country. Just a great looking location. Well, this is a super highway if I've ever seen one. These deer have got this thing trampled down. It almost looks like a cow path. And what's happening here is the timber's up top of the ridge here, and these deer are coming through here and they're cutting the corner, probably heading to the crop fields. And this is just a safe corridor. They cannot be seen. It's a military crest. They're coming, they're sneaking through here. And I'll tell you what, this is a travel route, a great ambush spot. I'd love to be sitting here. They're in the rut. Well, another great feature about this property is this pasture land right here. This is some great grazing ground for your cattle, but also could serve as a building location. This is one of three that's on this property. There's one here with easy access coming around the top of the pond to this location. There's a second one behind the camera, which we haven't seen yet, and there's a third one up in the timber. So anytime that you're looking at a property and you're assessing of your value, look for access, look for buildability, and look for opportunities to split it. And you could do that here. What we're looking at doing is we're going to take the eastern half of this and we're going to move the line slightly west. And what we're going to do is we're going to encompass a food plot field that's about 3 acres in size and make that part of that eastern 40, we'll call it. The western track here has the building sites, but we've got great access off of 220th the entire length of the property. So you could build multiple driveways in, pending the permits, of course. But anytime you have that opportunity, that subdivision, those smaller parcels become higher on a cost per acre metric. This area here, it has all those attributes. Easy to split, easy access, multiple building sites. This is going to be a good property. Come on, buddy. So when you come out to these properties, look for ways that you could improve it. Here's a perfect example. That timber up there is the building site. Imagine your home built right up there looking over this. This is a wetland here, and wetlands in Wisconsin are protected. And before you go messing around with this, you got to make sure you know what you're doing. So you're going to want to check with your local NRCS office, a local state authority with the DNR of Wisconsin or wherever you're at. But what I see here is an opportunity to maybe build a water feature here. A water feature here would be as simple as taking a bulldozer, scooping out some of the soil, banking it up, creating an exit and entrance for the water, keep it flowing through so it doesn't get stagnant. But this would be a great asset to this property, especially if you wanted to build a home here. Again, water features are always beneficial to reselling a property. And if you can make one very easily without liners, without a lot of work, simply digging a 2 or 3 acre lake here, stocking it with some fish. It's just a great attribute to this property, and this property has it. It wouldn't take a whole lot of work to do this, and it would add thousands of dollars to the resale price when you go to eventually sell it. So look for those simple ways to improve your property. It could end up in major equity gain when you go to sell. Wow, look at this. You know what this is? This is some guy's half of his life. He came out here on this farm 100 years ago and started picking rock. And he picked tons of it, and his kids picked tons of it. And I can tell you, not from personal experience, but from stories of my wife and her family and all the farms I sold, picking rock was a major part of their life. And why this is important is because I bring a lot of young buyers out to the country, and they have these dreams of starting a little farm, clearing the fields, planting them into corn and all squash and pumpkins, whatever. But I think sometimes they underestimate the amount of work that they have to do. If this rock hasn't already been picked and you find a rocky farm and it's at a great price, it might be that way for a reason. There's probably a lot of rock on there and it's just not that great farming, and rock and equipment do not mix. So when you're assessing a piece of property and you're thinking about starting your own farm, look at the soil, check the rocks. If they haven't been picked, you're going to be doing it and you're going to be spending a lot of time. Well, this is the timber part of the property. It's just great bottom land. The creek flows down through here. It's the Willow River, and the deer are stacked up in here. There's so much sign in here, rubs, great trails, hardly any pressure. I guarantee you that this corridor from the Willow River winding down through here, the creek bottom makes it really thick, very impenetrable, but the deer love it. That's what they're looking for. You've had the food plots over on the more western edge. It just makes up for a great property. Again, the diversity of this property is the key. When you're looking at property, look for edge, look for diversity, look for openings, all the things you don't have to do that are easily fixed. Food plots are next. You simply come in there, spray them with glyphosate, and till them under and plant them this fall, and you've got deer all over this place. Okay, well, this is the eastern side of the property, and we're going to be splitting this off. This is more the hunting side of the property, and I'm going to be listing this at $2,900 an acre. Just a great price for a small property. You've got bottom land with the creek, as you saw in the drone videos, a lot of timber. The deer are stacking up in there, and that's key if you're a hunter. You just want to know you got a good population. You've got a little food plot right here overlooking this marsh that could be put into a brassica mix in the fall, or potentially maybe you want to build your house here. It's just a great spot for that. And what a view. I mean, you could see almost a quarter mile from this spot right here with really easy access. When you take this property in its entirety, you've got about 92 acres for $276,000. That's about $3,000 an acre in a market that's selling on average for about $27.50 an acre. So there's a little upside because of all the things we've talked about: buildability, accessibility, variety, diversity. There's a lot of things going on here. Multiple building sites, access off of Highway 63, a great demographic growth corridor, a great traveled corridor, and you're in that second, maybe third tier of development from the Twin Cities Metro, which if you get out in front of it, it's really going to benefit you in the next 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 years that you own the property. Equity upside is what we're talking about. If you're interested in this property, it is for sale. It'll be up on my website at whitetailproperties.com. Give me a call. I'd love to show it to you. We'll talk about all these things that I've mentioned and how it might affect you if it's your purchase. If you like this type of video and you want to see more of these property assessments in my opinion of value or how to place a price, please hit that subscribe button below. Hit that like button. Send a comment or give me a call. I'd love to be of assistance to you. I'm Neil Hogger. I'm a land specialist with Whitetail Properties Real Estate in Western Wisconsin. Thanks for watching. You've been watching The American Landman.